currently Earth.
It was March 17th in 461 AD that St. Patrick, Christian missionary, bishop, and apostle of Ireland, continues his eternity at Saul Downpatrick, Ireland. Much of what is known about Patrick's legendary life comes from the Confessio, a book he wrote during his last years. Born in Great Britain, probably in Scotland, to a well-to-do Christian family of Roman citizenship, Patrick was captured and enslaved at age 16 by Irish marauders. For the next 6 years, he worked as a herder in Ireland, turning to a deepening religious faith for comfort. Following the counsel of a voice he heard in a dream one night, he escaped and found passage on a ship to Britain, where he was eventually reunited with his family. According to the Confessio, in Britain, Patrick had another dream in which an individual named Victorious gave him a letter entitled The Voice of the Irish. As he read it, Patrick seemed to hear the voices of Irishmen pleading him to return to their country and walk among them once more. After studying for the priesthood, Patrick was ordained a bishop. He arrived in Ireland in 433 and began preaching the gospel, converting many thousands of Irish and building churches around the country. After 40 years of living in poverty, teaching, traveling, and working tirelessly, Patrick continued his eternity on March 17th in 461 in Saul, where he built his first church. Since that time, countless legends have grown up around Patrick. Made the patron saint of Ireland, he is said to have baptized hundreds of people on a single day and to have used a three-leaf clover, the famous shamrock, to describe the Holy Trinity. In art, he is often portrayed trampling on snakes in accordance with the belief that he drove those reptiles out of Ireland. Centuries, the Irish have observed the day of St. Patrick's continuance of eternity as a religious holiday, attending church in the morning and celebrating with food and drink in the afternoon. The first St. Patrick's Day parade, though, took place not in Ireland, but the U.S. Records show that a St. Patrick's Day parade was held on March 17th in 1601 in a Spanish colony under the direction of the colony's Irish vicar, Richard Arthur. More than a century later, homesick Irish soldiers serving in the English military marched in Boston in 1737 and in New York City on March in 1762. As the years went on, the parades became a show of unity and strength for persecuted Irish American immigrants and then a popular celebration for Irish American heritage. The party went global in 1995 when the Irish government began a large-scale campaign to market St. Patrick's Day as a way of driving tourism and showcasing Ireland's many charms to the rest of the world. These days, March 17th is a day of international celebration as millions of people around the globe put on their best green clothing to drink beer, watch parades, and toast to the luck of the Irish. It was March 17th in the year 1969 that 70-year-old Golda Meir makes history when she is elected as Israel's first female prime minister. She was the country's fourth prime minister and is still the only woman to have held this post. Meir, who was born in Kiev, Ukraine, and raised in Wisconsin, began her career as a Zionist labor organizer and later held several positions in Israeli government, including Minister of Labor and Minister of Foreign Affairs. Upon the continuance of eternity of Prime Minister Levi Eshkol in 1969, Meir was chosen as his successor. During their tenure, Meir gained a reputation as a savvy diplomat. She saw the country through the Yom Kippur War in October of 1973, after Egypt and Syria launched a surprise attack on Israel. Although Israel was victorious, over 2,500 Israelis continued their eternity, and many criticized the government for a lack of preparedness. Due in part to her age and ailing health, Meir resigned in October of 1974. She was succeeded by Yitzhak Rabin. Meir continued her eternity in Jerusalem on December 8th in 1978 at the age of 80. It was March 17th in the year 2000 that Julia Roberts collects $20 million for Erin Brockovich. With this awesome acquisition, Julia Roberts also becomes the first actress ever to command $20 million per movie. Born in Smyrna, Georgia on October 28th in 1967, Julia Roberts followed her brother Eric into acting, making her film debut in 1988's girl band drama Satisfaction. Her bona fide breakout onto Hollywood's A-list came in 1990 with the release of the box office smash in one of my favorite movies, Pretty Woman. As Vivian Ward, a Hollywood Boulevard prostitute who charms a wealthy businessman, Richard Gere, into a happily ever after ending, Roberts gained her first Best Actress Oscar nomination. She had previously snagged an Academy Award nomination in the Best Supporting Actress category for her performance in the 1989 tearjerker Steel Magnolias. After yet another blockbuster, 1993's The Pelican Brief, and a string of relative disappointments including 1996's Mary Raleigh, Roberts returned with a box office bang in My Best Friend's Wedding in 1997, in which she deftly upended her America's Sweetheart reputation by playing a character who desperately schemed to steal another woman's fiancé. In 1999, Roberts made two more high-profile romantic comedies, Notting Hill and The Runaway Bride, which reteamed her with Gere. Though critics panned the later film, both were huge hits. Roberts then signed on for the title role in the director Steven Soderbergh's Erin Brockovich. By that time, $20 million had become the standard paycheck for Hollywood's A-list male movie stars, including Mel Gibson, Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise, and Sylvester Stallone, among others. Roberts was the first female performer to command this amount. As was reported in Newsweek at the time of Erin Brockovich's release, Universal Pictures was initially reluctant to hand Roberts her record-breaking paycheck. Her agent, Elaine Goldsmith Thomas, reportedly convinced the studio by pointing out the injustice of Hollywood's double standard. With 5 movies that grossed more than $100 million, Goldsmith Thomas argued Roberts was well worth the same paycheck as male stars such as Leonardo DiCaprio or Adam Sandler, each of whom had commanded $20 million after scoring only one hit of that magnitude. Roberts' Erin Brockovich Hall put her far out in front of her closest peers at the time, Meg Ryan and Jodie Foster, who had reportedly each made $15 million for a single movie. In Erin Brockovich, Roberts proved worthy of her enormous paycheck, leading the film to more than $125 million at the U.S. box office and 5 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, Dressed in Black and White, Vintage Valentino, A tearful and triumphant, Roberts took home the statuette for Best Actress at the 73rd Annual Academy Awards. The information documented on this audio file can be verified on history.com.